Gurubhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. Thank you so much, Sampada Mataji, Chakralakshmi Mataji, for joining. We will start today Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi Lila, chapter 4. So we have been reading in our regular discussions. Let's begin with some prayers. Vande Gurunisha Bhaktan Ishanisha Avtarakan Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Krishna Caitanya Sanyakam Vande Shri Krishna Caitanya Nityananda Sahoditau Gaurudaya Pushponatau Chitrau Sandau Tamonudau Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Granthera Arambha Kori Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinira Smarana Hoya Vigana Vinashana Anayasa Sapal Nija Vanchita Purana. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Guruve Gaura Chandraya, Radhikaya, Tadalaye, Krishnaya, Krishna Bhaktaya, Tadbhaktaya, Namo Namaha. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade, Ara Asha, Caitanya-caritāmṛta Kahe, Krishna Dasa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading today Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 49 onwards. This chapter is entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. So basically, to sum up, if you remember, to taste the rasa, prema rasa aswadana, that was one of the main reasons, and to propagate nama sankirtana. These were the two main reasons. Raga marga bhakti pracharana and prema rasa aswadana, the two main internal reasons. So in the last, we were discussing about the Srimati Radharani actually, who is the epitome of all the rasas, the best of the gopis, the best of the lovers, and we're talking about Parakya and Swakya. You remember the Vedded and the unwedded. Swakya refers to wedded, Parakya refers to unwedded. So we discussed about Parakya. Vraja Vadhu Ganera Ei Bhava Nirvadhi Tara Madhya Shri Radhaya Bhavera Avadhi. So we read that last time. So this is a little bit back. Yeah, here we read text number 48. That Srimati Radharani is the crest jewel. Her mood of unbound is unbound in the damsels of Vraja. This mood, basically the Parakya Bhava, which is superior to the Swakya. Okay, let's read the next verse, text 49. Radha Nirmala Bhava Prema Sarvottama Krishnera Madhurya Rasa Asvada Karana. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. Her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of the conjugal relationships. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So, Srimati Radharani's love is the crest jewel, the topmost amongst all others gopis. So we cannot even imagine the intensity, the epitome, the zenith of that love, pure, unalloyed. And that is a cause the Lord wants to taste that sweetness of that love. And that was the reason the Lord wanted to experience what Srimati Radharani is experiencing towards Krishna. So Lord came as a devotee in the complexion of Srimati Radharani, Tapta Kanchana Gauranga. So Lord Gauranga came in that mood to experience. So let's read the next one. Yes, Sampada Mataji.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Ataiva se bhava angikara kari sadhi lena nija vancha gauranga Shri Hari. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, Lord Gauranga, who is Shri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. Of the four kinds of reciprocation of loving service, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, Madhurya is considered the fullest, but the conjugal relationship is further divided into two varieties, namely Swakya and Parakya. Swakya is the relationship with Krishna as a formally married husband, and Parakya is the relationship with Krishna as a paramour. Expert analysts have decided that the transcendental ecstasy of the Parakya mellow is better because it is more enthusiastic. This phase of conjugal love is found in those who have surrendered to the Lord in intense love, knowing well that such illicit love with a paramour is not morally approved in society. The risk involved in such love of God, and make this emotion superior to the relationship in which such risk is not involved. The validity of such risk, however, is possible only in the transcendental realm. Swakya and Parakya, conjugal love of Godhead, have no existence in the material world, and Parakya is not exhibited anywhere in Vaikuntha, but only in the portion of Goloka Vrindavan known as Vraja. Some devotees think that Krishna is eternally the enjoyer in Goloka Vrindavan, but only sometimes comes to the platform of Vraja to enjoy Parakya Rasa. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, however, have explained that Krishna's pastimes in Vraja are eternal like his other activities in Goloka Vrindavan. Vraja is a confidential part of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna exhibited his Vraja pastimes on the surface of this world, and similar pastimes are eternally exhibited in Vraja and Goloka Vrindavan, where Parakya Rasa is ever existent. In the third chapter of this epic, Srila Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami has explicitly accepted the fact that Krishna appears in this material world at the end of the Dwapara age of the 28th Chatur Yuga, Vaivasvata Manu, and brings with him his Vrajadhama, which is the eternal abode of his highest pastimes. As the Lord appears by his own internal potency, so he also brings all his paraphernalia by the same internal potency, without extraneous help. It is further stated here in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta that the Parakya sentiment exists only in that transcendental realm and nowhere else. This highest form of ecstasy can exist only in the most confidential part of the transcendental world, but by the causeless mercy of the Lord, we can have a peep into that invisible Vraja. The transcendental mellow relished by the gopis in Vraja is super excellently featured in Srimati Radharani. Mature assimilation of the transcendental humor of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani, whose feelings are incomprehensible even to the Lord himself. The intensity of her loving service is the highest form of ecstasy. No one can surpass Srimati Radharani in relishing the qualities of the Lord through this supreme transcendental mellow. Therefore, the Lord himself agreed to assume the position of Radharani in the form of Lord Sri Gauranga. He then relished the highest position of Parakya Rasa as exhibited in the transcendental abode of Vraja. Hare Kṛṣṇa Prabhuji, back to you. Please explain.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you so much, Mataji. So we have discussed this reason before also in the second chapter, I believe, that Lord Gauranga accepts the sentiments And what kind of the sentiment? The highest of the zenith of the all sentiments. The love which was never given before. Anarpita chiram chirat. He is freely distributing to the least qualified people in the age of Kali Yuga. The topmost thing given to the lowest of the people. That's the unalloyed, unaccompanied. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Therefore, it's called Mahavadanyaya, the most magnanimous. So, Prabhupada is explaining about this Parakya Rasa, the paramour, or unwedded relationship. And Prabhupada is very nicely explaining that it only exists in the spiritual world. It does not exist in this material world. In material world, it's considered actually, it's illicit, right? Basically, to have a relationship outside the marriage or before the marriage is illicit in simple language. And one must refrain from it. One must refrain from it. That's what the one of the regulative principle is, to not have illicit relationships. So in the material world, this is not rasa, this is not love, this is lust actually, right? And we see that also, like, so-called girlfriend, boyfriend, if the person, the boy does not get the girl, and then the person will throw acid upon or try to attack, or, lust triangle and fighting and killing each other. This is not really love. It is actually lust. So we cannot, compare this thing in the material sense. But there is, like, even in one way, like, you can understand, like, if in material world, like, when there is some challenge, when there is some, I remember when I was like a child. It's a very mundane example, but just to understand the height of the pleasure or the happiness. A kite in India costs like 1 or 2 rupees in India. That's the cost at that point. 1 rupee, 2 rupee. A good kite will cost 2 rupees. Simple kite would cost 1 rupee when I was flying kites. It's not a very expensive thing. That's what I wanted to share. It's not a very expensive thing. And then, but the point was that if the kite would, like, how do you say, kat jate, patang, kat jate, like, means, when two kites are fighting against each other, and then one thread is cut off, and then all the kids would run after that. And sometimes they will break their knees. Sometimes they will fight with each other. Sometimes they will, jump off the cliff, and they will go to any extent for that 1 rupee kite, right? It's only 1 rupee worth, but there is flavor. Similarly, Krishna, not similarly, actually, we try to, everything in the world is coming from there. Krishna, one time said to the gopis that when I come and steal butter, there is more pleasure in there. When then if you just offer me, then I will not take. Mehnat karke khate. We have to take the risk of stealing, and then we relish that, Krishna and his friends. So the point is that there is more excitement, there is more rasa in stealing the butter and eating it than to just someone giving it. Okay, Krishna, you eat butter. It's okay, but the rasa is more in stealing. Because he's Rasraj. He is the king of all rasa. Bhoktaram yajñatapasam sarva lokam. He is supreme bhokta. So he wants to experience the best. And he is the worthy bhokta. If we try to be bhokta, we will suffer. We discussed that last time in chapter 5. Our enjoyment lies in serving the master. So we should not try to imitate all these things. We just have to understand through the eyes of the spiritual eyes. And that's our movement. That's our Gaudiya Vaishnavism I was hearing yesterday. Why don't we say, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, and this? Hare basically is Radharani. right? Why don't we say Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, right? Because our movement is the movement, is a secret. In a secret way, this Hare is given to, because it's giving that actually the topmost rasa. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all our acharyas, pretty much everyone who's is a manjari serving in the spiritual world as the servants of Krishna, and the servants of the servants of Krishna, that's Śrī Radharani. So, talking about Parakya Rasa, and Lord Chaitanya has accepted that mood. So, very high topic, but at least we can theoretically try to understand. If anyone has any comments, any additions, corrections. Okay, let's continue with our reading. Text 51. Anyone who didn't get a chance yesterday wants to read?
I can read, Prabhu. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Text number 51. Sures Svanam Durgam Gatir Atisya Nopanishadam Muninam Sarva Swam Pranata Patalinam Madhuryama Viniryasya Premano Nikhila Pasu Palambuja Darsham Sa Caitanya Kimme Nur Apidasor Yashati Padam. Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Chaitanya is the shelter of the demigods, the goal of the Upanishad, the be-all and end-all of the great sages, the beautiful shelter of his devotees, and the essence of the love of the lotus-eyed gopis. Will he again be the object of my vision? Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So this verse is taken from Stavamala, the Prarthana Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Stava Mala. Mala means garland. So it's a garland of prayers. So Stava, Stotra, these are all different types of prayers. So Lord Chaitanya, the shelter of the demigods, basically is Krishna. He is Deva Deva Jagatpate, right? We sing a prayer for Lord Jagannath. Devtao ke bhi Devta, Adi Dev. He's all the demigods take shelter of Krishna. Indra, Chandra, Surendra, Varuna, Agni, all these demigods. But everyone, Brahma, we read that recently. Where did we read? Anyone remembers? We recently read about everyone take shelter. Brahma, Shiva, all saying the
Maharaj
same thing.
Khatwanga said that, I think.
Khatwanga Maharaj said that, yes. And also when our Durvasa Muni went for help, first he went to Brahma, he said the same thing. We are all insignificant. We are all his product. He went to Lord Shiva, said the same thing. Khatwanga Maharaj also said, you're absolutely right, Mataji. He basically said that I don't want temporary things from the demigods, yeah. So very nice connection. The goal of all the Upanishads, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha, the end all and the be all, and the shelter of his devotees. Such nice words are used. He is the shelters of the devotees. And the essence of love of the lotus-eyed gopis. So poetic. Will he be again the object of my vision? We say this prayer, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu Me. So will that Lord Chaitanya, Kim me punaha? Puna means again. Api drisho yasyati padam. Will he be? Basically requesting in one way, Lord, you please be the object of my vision. You please always continue to guide me the path to back home, back to Godhead. So such beautiful prayers talking about Krishna's qualities, Lord Chaitanya's qualities, and then this prayer. Okay, I see I have devotees joining from Malaysia. Chakralakshmi Mataji, you want to read? Are you interested to read? We are very glad to have your association. Thank you so much for joining. Did I say your name rightly? Please excuse me if I misspoke. Malaysia. Are you interested to read? Thank you so much for joining. Charan Lakshmi Mataji, such a beautiful name. Thank you so much.
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yeah, if you feel appropriate, please, you can read the verse and the translation.
Okay, Prabhu. Aparam kasyapi pranatijan dasi kuktuki rasastoma hitvamadaro ubhaktum kam abhiyad yochum swam avarare duitim tadim praktyatum sadevas jatante atitaram na kripayatu. Only that I can see from my... Okay, translation. Lord Krishna desired to taste the limitless nectarine mellows, one of his multitude of loving damsels, Sri Radha, and so he has assumed the form of Lord Chaitanya. He has tasted the love while hiding his own dark complexion with an effulgent yellow color. May that Lord Chaitanya confer upon us his grace.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So here's the reference also given, text 51 and 52, which we just read, are from Prarthana Śrī Caitanya Shataka. Shata means century. So, and Śrī Caitanya Ashtaka. Ashtaka or Shataka, I think it's Shataka. Chaitanya Shataka. 3. From the Stavamala of Sri Rupa Goswami. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So again, more qualities of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. When Lord desired to taste the love of the gopis, primarily Radharani, he came in this form, hid his dark complexion. Krishna is Sham, Ghanesham. Navam Buddha Shamala Kanti Chauram. He has stolen the Kanti or the complexion of the dark monsoon cloud. But when Lord Chaitanya came, he came in the yellowish or the golden complexion of Radharani. Therefore, he's called Gauranga, the golden complexion. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. So may that Lord Chaitanya confer upon us. Lord Chaitanya, bless us, guide us, be the object of our vision. May we never forget him. May he never forget us. He doesn't forget us. If we take one step, he'll take 1,000 steps towards us. Because he says, we were reading this verse today, Ami bina bandhuar kya chetumar. Tumhara loino hoina avatar. I have specially descended for you. Lord is so personal. So we can put our name there. God is saying, I have specially descended for you, O Shubhavilas Govindadas, O Kirti Mataji, O Ekant Prabhu, Moksha Mataji, Vipul Prabhu. I have specially descended for you. Lord is saying, we can put our name there. Isn't that so personal? So much pain, so much love Lord has towards us that He is doing everything specially for us, who is so insignificant, who is so insincere, moving around in this material world, Lord. So who could be a dear friend? A more dear friend than Him? Who will accompany us birth after birth? Who will always be on our side in joy or sorrow, in pain or gain? Only one person. That's Lord Chaitanya, Krishna. Okay, next 53. Anyone who has not got a chance today or yesterday? Okay. Swati Mataji, please. Karthik Prabhu. Yes.
Yes,
Swati
Prabhu.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Shall I read, Prabhu, or?
I think Swati Mataji is ready now. Maybe you read the
Okay.
next one. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Standard Pranam. Text 53. Bhavagrahanera hetu kaiva dharma sthapana tara mukhya hetu kahi suna sarvajana. Translation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To accept ecstatic love is the main reason he appeared and re-established the religious system for this age. I shall now explain that reason. Everyone, please listen. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who is I? Who's I here?
Krishna Kaviraj Goswami.
Kaviraj Goswami.
Yes, Krishna, yes, Goswami, the author of Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta. So the main reason was this ecstatic love. And to re-establish dharma sansthapanarthaya. Which verse is that? Bhagavad Gita?
4.67.
4.7. That's correct. Okay, let's see the reason tomorrow, but we can read text 54. Yeah, let's read 54 and then we'll pause. Yes, Karthik Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Standard Pranam. Text 54. Mula hetu age slokera kaila abhi. Mula hetu age slokera kaila abasa ebe kahi se slokera artha prakasha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Having first given hints about the verse describing the principal reason why the Lord appeared, now I shall manifest its full meaning. Okay, Prabhu, you can add, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Karthik Prabhu, for reading this nice verse. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is basically telling that the Mula Hetu, Mula means root cause. So basically he has already given the root cause, right? But now he is doing prakash, artha prakash. Abe kahi sheish loke artha prakash. So now he will basically give a purport. Prakash dalo. Prakash dalo means put some light to it. That means so that fools like myself can try to understand. Because if it's just to give hint, it's difficult to understand. But when you put light on that or prakash, that means giving a purport. Just think about without Prabhupada's purport, or Prabhupada's putting prakash on these verses, how would we have been able to understand it? It would have been practically impossible. So we will see that tomorrow. So we'll change our gears and move to